Good day, everybody. We're back again. It's Atlantic Discuss. Yes, Atlantic Discuss. A lot is happening all over the world. That's why we bring scholars, erudite one at that, to discuss issues that reverberate with mankind. Today, we are going to a West African country, Ghana. Yes, our sister country. They just had a very, very fantastic election. And it does look like they've set a pace in so many areas. And it's not just something that happened in the last election, it's something that's been happening in Ghana in recent times. So the topic for today is lesson from the last Ghanaian election, and we look at the patriotism and the ease of power transfer. That's why we have with us a very erudite scholar. He's been our guest in the past, but we have to bring him back. But we need someone that's very sound on this kind of issues. We have Professor Akin Osuntokun with us. Prof, welcome to Atlanta Discussion.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
but the lesson from the last election in Ghana and the ease of transition and patriotism. So we just want to find out from you what factors contributed to the peaceful organization of the last election. What were the indices, the parameters? What made Ghana do it so well? Considering we are struggling here too.
Well, first, I mean, the point will be well made in contrast to Nigeria. So in Nigeria, you have the kind of cleavages you have in Nigeria, you don't have them in Ghana. I don't think religion is an issue in Ghana the way it is here. And they don't have too many tribal or ethno-regional cleavages. So power politics in Ghana, has tended to be a lot more temperate than you find in Nigeria. But a lot of credit goes to Rawlings. It transformed what we're experiencing today. He was one who actually fostered, the development of democracy in Ghana in contemporary times. There's something that is called the routinization of what? There is a variant concept, routinization of charisma. When elections, democracy, when it has come more or less to stay habitual, which there are no too much conflict over the outcome of election. And people have imbibed the culture and do not feel desperate, whichever the case is. So it has become a culture. I mean, now I think there have been transfers between opposing political parties in almost 3 general election cycles. So the development, such a development is self-reinforcing. The more you do it, the more you are clever, the more it shapes your responses to the temperament of democracy, which is your capability to accept when you genuinely lose, and then for the winner to be magnanimous in victory. In political science, we call it winner takes all. Where you have the heavy presence of winner takes all, it is difficult to foster the spirit of democracy. Because the obverse of winner takes all is that loser loses all. So they no longer have a vested interest, in the stability and progress of that society. If you don't have a vested, if you lose everything, so why would you be interested? In whether the society is peaceful or not. So that is not happening in Ghana, and that's what. And there is also what we call the resource costs. In Ghana, they don't have, again, this is in contrast to what happens in Nigeria. There's not an, overwhelming resource. It's not a monocultural economy. It's not, I'm sure you will have heard about the concept of resource cost. It breeds instability and crisis, conflict, intra-elite conflict, and people, the tendency to be desperate to capture, the resource, it is applicable. It was developed in the context of the all endowed countries, but Nigeria and um, Venezuela, typify, the concept of resource cost, in which it serves to drag it drags the country down. It doesn't. It detracts from democracy or development. The signal characteristic is corruption, and the kind of corruption that is very destructive. So you don't have that in Ghana. So uh, best of luck to them, and we'll have to, Nigeria is both. It will be difficult to prescribe or to preach to Nigeria to emulate Ghana, because the factors that we have in Nigeria have enumerated them in contrast to Ghana. You look at nepotism in Nigeria, for instance, the desperation to capture oil, even MPC as the be-all of the economy, overcompensating your ethnic group, and there's marked divisions, along ethno-religious cleavages. So that's the best way really to understand what Ghana, to appreciate the gravity of what they have achieved, to contrast it with Nigeria. And of course, they've gone through economic crisis. They have been tested, and they stood strong. They stand strong. I mean, they've gone through, serious economic recession in the past few years, and that has not affected the political stability of the country, because, quote and unquote, when you have transparency, you can only profit from it. There is no incentive for anybody. If I believe that those in government, the president and everything, are not stealing money or corralling undue advantages to them, so whatever is going through, whatever storm they're getting into, they are in it together. Where the people cannot, do not see transparency in governance, do not see what they preach, do not see evidence of austerity which the government is imposing on people. You have lavishness, conspicuous consumption in the official and government. I'm talking about Nigeria. Yes. And at the same time, you are now asking people, right, to sacrifice. So how do you explain? It will be irrational, actually, of the people, to accept what you're asking them to do, unless we impose it by dint of force or whatever it is. Because if you are saying something, you are preaching something, and you are doing you are acting the exact opposite. Conspicuous consumption, buying brand new, top of the range, Jeeps for 406 Nigerians. I mean, look, how do you then persuade your fellow country to believe, to be committed, to what you're asking them to do? Look, in Ghana, when Rawlings came to power, by coup, you see, he did a lot of it was symbolic. Well, he had a lot of symbolic gestures. But the one that struck me most was, there was this picture of him where he was driving a tractor, shirtless, bare chested, driving a tractor to cultivate. So when the Ghanaians around they saw him, look at the president. Nobody remembered whether they have not eaten for 2 days. But they were hailing him, do something before you die, do something. So you have to live, by the power of example. So Ghana has, got a lot of, but a lot of the credit, as I said, goes to Rawlings, because he was even the first, since 1979, he was the one that started the culture, of considering victory, to the opposition party. So that Ghana has more or less continued along that, with that culture. So, way to Ghana, and I pray that they will stay the course.
Amen. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I think just to add to what you just said, Rawlings was of the NDC, and after 2 terms, his party lost to the NPP, and they conceded, and that's when John Kufuor came in. And after Kufuor, we had Atta Mills, who was also of the Rawlings party again, that came back, and he died in power. Mahama came back, and the same party lost to the NPP again, and lo and behold, NDC is back. So Ghana has transited from opposition to ruling party continuously, and that's most exemplary. But my next question to you, sir, is this. How did the Ghana Electoral Commission and other stakeholders in Ghana, ensure integrity and transparency in this election? Everybody had confidence in the Electoral Commission. They didn't doubt them. They took their word for it, and everything went smoothly. What did they do differently from other African countries?
What they did differently is to have, first and foremost, established a culture of transparency, responsibility, in whatever official capacity that you find yourself. As I said, there's no magic to this thing. It's a very simple, transaction. You do well in the position you are in. So I entrust you, I trust you in return. This is what has happened. The Electoral Commission in Ghana will not see them bringing beavers in the morning and tell you the thing has, packed up in the evening. And so this is it. I mean, there's everybody knows that in Nigeria today there's terrible corruption, in the INEC and the judiciary. So again, to contrast that with Ghana, what we have in Ghana. So this is what the people have seen. They've seen that those who the guardians of the system, the operators, right? They've not seen any sign of a self-aggrandizement, feeling of bribery, in what they are doing. Of course, that also has to do with, that neither of the two parties, neither of the two candidates believes that the other camp winning the election confers a big pecuniary or corrupt advantage on the other person. So this is something like you say, well, loser loses all. So in Ghana, the loser doesn't lose all, and the winner doesn't win all, right? So there is a theory that says that, look, the higher the per capita income in a society, the less likely, you find problem, the more they are likely to adjust with the competitive spirit of democracy. I think that Ghana has also, quote and unquote, enjoyed the economic stability, not prosperity as such, but a period of stability. You see that in the maintenance of the infrastructures, and things like that. But as I said, they're going through an economic downturn now. But nobody is ascribing that, nor is it ascribable, to infernal behavior within the government. Everybody knows your level, what the score is. There's nobody, so nobody has seen any evidence that the Electoral Commission members are taking money. Nobody has seen evidence that any member of the judiciary has taken money. Yeah, in Nigeria, this is what it has become a daily, routine. I mean, it's a daily experience. The way people who find themselves in position of authority, easily get immersed, in corruption, waste, and share responsibility. Right? Look, I mean, there's so aside, these kind of things even makes people angry, right? I mean, Nigeria has gotten to a stage where a refinery in Port Harcourt, right, was rehabilitated at the cost of $1.9 billion. Rehabilitated. It is 60,000 liter per day capacity. Now, Aliko Dangote has built a brand new refinery in Lagos, right? With 631,000 liters per day, and it costs him 1.8, $18 billion. Now, 10% of $18 billion is 1.8, almost the same cost of what we are told they use in rehabilitating. So why don't we? So if we are taking the $1.8 billion and give it to Ali, you are giving us a brand new refinery with the same capacity per day. But that is the worst thing, is that this was being celebrated here in Nigeria. That the people that they finally got. This is what is being. It's even worse, than what we are normalizing evil, normalizing corruption, normalizing things that. So I'm getting worried because the media, once the media is gone, then they are gone, because once the media is gone and there's no effective opposition really, then we are heading towards dictatorship. I mean, look, people celebrating that kind of. You see, this is the. I don't know, and there's no way, and it was all over the place. You see the one writer here, somebody you respect, and this is they start praising what has been achieved. I mean, I see it is the smartest that have been after Coca-Cola. How does the rehabilitation of a refinery at the cost of almost, I'm sure that thing will $2 billion. How does that become a cause for celebration?
And it's been a recurring expense, actually. It's not, they've been spending that money. Yeah. So it's not just the first time.
So, this is where we have found ourselves. Look, the GMD of NMPC, the man who is at the core of the oil subsidy scandal, he was reappointed by this government for another 5 years. So what this government is telling us is that the man has done a fantastic job. So the gift on account of which I'm reappointing you. Now, does that make a sense? So anybody who sees that, what do you want the person to think of what is going on in Nigeria, of the government? Somebody who is at the core of the scandal. Now, this scandal is not the people, we are not whispering about it. The president gradually left it as a talking point. The first thing he mentioned when he was inaugurated was this subsidy thing, right? But you hardly hear him talk about any scandal. And even when somebody came, a former governor of Bauchi State said openly, he told the government that he has a friend who is a man who is one of the also the scandal. And the man told him that they were tired of making money.
Money, true.
And subsidy should go. Now, has this government invited, what was their response to that? Nothing. The next thing you had was the reappointment of somebody who was at the core. And the man is they're spending money all over the place, buying people, It's unfortunate, really.
Yeah, but I don't know if you heard recently when the chairman of the INEC in Nigeria said Ghana copied some of the things they were trying to do from Nigeria, that Ghana learned a lot from Nigeria. I mean, that sounds silly from my point of view.
It's sick. That's it. That's it. It's an insult to Ghana, an insult to any right-thinking person anywhere in the world. And he can say that. Look, I was the Director General of the major opposition party, so we were in court. All the things that INEC was saying was that they had as if there was no human effort in what they did. It was Beavers this, it was no. They were actually talking, I mean, they were accusing, they were more or less using Beavers and IRF as scapegoats. That this is why Beavers, what happened, they were discrediting what they themselves, have commended to every Nigeria that with these innovations, you won't have any problem with elections again. And what did we have? We said we should ignore the evidence of Beavers and IRF. This is what was said. And so you see, the man is a sick man. I would like to be quoted even publicly, as I said, that if he said that to the Ghanaians, then he is sick. There is no other way to say it. We see this country, the thing is, what happened in Ghana, it's something that it should depress any right thinking in Nigeria. Compare their elections or their official what is going on here, right? And what the people are going through, the suffering people are going through on a daily basis. Here they are talking, it's sickening, right? We're on electricity. Now, even look, in Nigeria today, right? You need to be a multimillionaire, right? To afford the basic standard of living, at least to have light, for instance. For you to have light, you get the outrageous ones from the DISCO, the electricity companies. You will supplement it with inverter and generator, right? Generator, you will probably need to have two generators, one big and one small, right? Maybe the small one, runs on petrol. The large one runs on diesel. In any case, the large generator that you have, what it will cost you to supplement your. So you see how much you spend on the income that you are earning. Your standard of living has depreciated. You have to look for a way to supplement it. And then again, you hear and see things that, are people mad, right? The federal permanent secretary, his total enumeration per month is 800,000 naira. 800,000. Yet that permanent secretary buys cars, news cars, and things like that. Where is he getting the money? I mean, there's no way, if he's depending on 800,000 naira per month, then he probably will be walking to the office. On the contrary, they are one of the wealthy elites. So where is the money coming from? And in any case, there's a compulsion to that they have to find ways of supplementing through foul means. because there's no fear. People are quarreling over 70,000 naira minimum wage. 70,000 naira. About a month later, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, they came up with a data that says that the minimum, irreducible minimum of a decent meal in Nigeria is 1,300. So if you eat 3 times a day, you need to spend maybe about 5,000 naira on your meal per day. Now, multiply that 5,000 naira with 30, it gives you 150,000 naira. So on the meal alone, after you spend your 70,000 naira, you still need an extra 70,000 naira to eat. Okay, maybe there's a dramatic, but that is what the NBS come up with. Okay, let us say people can go with 2 meals a day, but still, what that tells you from whichever angle you look at it is that your whole salary in a month, right, can hardly feed you, let alone going to office, let alone paying your accommodation, let alone say paying school fees or anything like that. So where is the logic in all this? Now, I'm not saying that Nigerians are being indulged, whatever it is, right? The crisis, economic recession, there's nothing strange about it. You know, it is normal in human society and individuals to go through crises in their lives. It's how you grapple with it that matters, right? In Nigeria today, the way we can do that is the exact opposite of what the president and his people are doing. The way you can do that is show responsibility. Look, if you must drive jeep, if you must buy jeeps for assembly people, there's Innocent Motors in Nigeria and 2 other local manufacturing. Why don't you take it from them? As a matter of fact, you can make a policy that no federal government agency or ministry should buy any new car from outside Nigeria for the next 4 years. That is, then you are communicating. You'll be seen as communicating to people. Not when you are giving a $13 billion contract to your friend to construct a road to nowhere. If with the kind of economic problems we have, does spending $13 billion on a railway, does it make sense? Does it make sense? On top of that, you gave it to your friend. When he was asked that his opponent Atiku was, criticizing for giving, he said, when Atiku gets to office, he should give it to his enemies. That was his response. So this is Nigeria for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Are we ever still going to have free and fair election in Nigeria? From all indications, it's even getting worse. We've had 2 Guba elections after the last presidential election, and things are getting worse. Is there hope?
Well, we are heading towards one-party dictatorship, obviously. That's right. You see, with the bulwark, the people who are behind this current dispensation in Nigeria with Tinubu as president, the people that are responsible for its durability is the West, American and Western Europe. Right? They see the man there, as their agent, as their asset. So, and they have a vested interest in keeping him there, and some of the other people. So these are the people. They said the FBI was supposed to release 2,500 papers on Tinubu some months ago. Nobody has heard anything about it again. You see, and the mentality of the people here, the Tinubu and his people, right? They're taking a cue that they have a godfather, with them. There's no need for you to pay attention to what your people are doing. hence you can, what they're driving Nigeria towards now is one party dictatorship. Effectively, that is what we are. All right. That, you know, in Labour Party, people who are elected on the platform of Labour Party, they keep on defecting every day. At the end of the day, I will not be surprised if we have lost all those members to APC. They only used Labour Party because Labour Party was popular there to get to what, not that they believed or shared the same mentality. So that is Labour Party. In PDP, the man who is in charge of maybe 60% of the structure, Wike, is a minister of Tinubu. And so where are we going? You know, this is what I mean. We are staring at one party dictatorship in front of us. But what is likely to happen? Because a major faction of the power elite in Nigeria is angry because it's not being sufficiently patronized. We are looking at a crisis that is going to come, not between parties, but something akin to, you know, this flare up that we have that leads to civil war or something. That is the position that we have today. Now, the far north, Muslim North, they will put him there, I mean, effectively ensure that it became, yeah. I don't know what strategy, why he's employing that strategy of overcompensating the Yoruba people. Today, I've read that the new accountant general now also is a Yoruba man. And so, look, I have no sympathy for any pampered section of this country, especially the far north. But at the same time, you don't correct one wrong with another wrong. I mean, it's like you are emulating what Buhari did, regardless of what that kind of action behavior has brought Nigeria. This is what is happening, here. So you see, I'm talking like this because of what you just told me, that one man, this Mahmoud, has the audacity to say that Ghana learned from them. This man is supposed to be a professor, right? I mean, I don't know how to qualify it. Look, people know what is going on. Huh? It's like brigandage. Right? The rush with look, I was in court. When up to the Supreme Court with Peter Obi. These people were blaming everything on Beavers and INEC and IREC. And the reason why we should discount it for manual counting, manual justice at the tribunal. I couldn't believe my ear when one of the judges said in a judgment that we have the audacity to be said to accuse. This is a judge talking about a party before we have the audacity to bring this case before you. So this is what Nigeria has degenerated into. Of course, we have the ongoing crisis. Dele Faro TV. So look, what is there to say? We are just looking at is those of us who are oversensitive that time and are in serious problem. I wish I can just ignore all that is going on, and be realistic, and join the gravy trade. That is what they're asking. That is what a realistic person in Nigeria should do today. Those of us who are taking the other, we are not realistic people. You are not. The depth of what is going, the depth of the crisis, right, tells you that. You see, your own family and friends will call you an irresponsible person. If you are in a government office in Nigeria today, and you don't make, and you have opportunity to make money there, and you don't make it, your family and your friends will say that you are an irresponsible person. Because there's no logic to what you post. If you are remaining, if you want to be a clean person, you resign. But if you are there, I've just told you, it is not logical for anybody to want to remain as a federal permanent secretary in Nigeria today on the basis of the emolument and remuneration. It is illogical. So
very sad. So let's talk about the obedient movement. I know Labour Party, I mean, the current chairman seems to have been hijacked too from all indication. I mean, so what happened to the obedient movement? I'm not sure if you are a member of Labour Party, but is Peter Obi still a member of party? Is the obedient movement still working with the Labour Party, or they're looking at options, or they want to have their own party? What's the way forward? Because from all indication, the obedient seems to be the only viable opposition in current day Nigerian politics.
yeah, I mean, you are correct. I mean, you are right. You know, the thing in Nigeria, well, you know, it's a scriptural saying that, you know, you have to be as wise as the serpent and things like that. You see, if you want to, the guerrilla warfare strategy, you know, recommends itself. You know, when the relationship is asymmetrical, in which case the guerrilla, the government has a dominant force, the dominant power. You are not a, you know, so you cannot engage them at a level, at their own level. You have to be very, very, you know, smart and clever about what you do and things like that. There is actually no space, hardly a space for it. You know, the guerrilla strategy says, you know, we retreat. When they attack, we retreat. When they retreat, you attack. You know, no guerrilla, of course. Guerrilla warfare is like terrorism. Somebody call it a powerful expression of powerlessness. So that is what you can see as the obedient. Of course, yes, they still catch the imagination of the young people, you know. But of course, so, and of course, with things going bad, you know, perhaps we should be thanking the bad economy that we have today, because it will compel many people, right, to do what, to grapple with the reality of what is happening. Nigeria seems to be very fond of looking the other way when this kind of problems. So what this would do to concentrate your mind is when you have no alternative to that to fight. And, you know, so this is the obedient movement. Look, the Labour Party, it's a typical, you know, it's a typical Nigerian organization steeped in terrible corruption, and you don't want to hear anything about it. The only thing Peter Obi found himself there is that there is no provision for independent candidates, you know, in the constitution. You just have to find a party platform. That is what, so they are there as SPV that you use and up, but in exchange for money they can get. The chairman of the party who has teamed up with more or less become APC Aram boy, right? During the election, we are supposed to have party agents in what we are supposed to have about maybe 170,000 party agents. They brought a list of 120,000 party agents to be paid. When Obi and the bankers, the accountants, you know, audited the names that they gave, this 120,000, only 10,000 were found to be genuine. The other ones were fake.
Wow.
And so this tells you, so as I said, look, these are things I've experienced, you know, and it makes me angry when I tell people sometimes, like, tell them, and they'll be arguing on what they think it is not possible, is this and that. Look, it's an hypothesis that is difficult to fault. If I tell you that Will you believe that APC government that is in power will not do anything to rig the election for its candidate? You believe, was this election fair? The reason I'm saying so is this. I'm in a position to know, right, that Obi won the majority of the votes clearly. I will give you two indications or two or three indications. Yeah, in Lagos, I now consider that Obi defeated Tinubu in the ratio of maybe 700 to 500,000. If a criminal concedes that to you, you must know that the actual margin is far bigger than that. The margin, which was actually announced by PDP, had Labour Party at 1.2 million votes, and APC did not make 25%. So, but people will start talking. And look, it's just when this thing started on the day of the second day of the election, I started asking people that, please don't speculate. Call your children or anybody who is below 40. Ask them which party they voted for. I'm more than certain that 80 or 90% of them will have voted for Labour Obi. That is the truth. I act because I've done it randomly. When I go around anywhere to buy something, ask, are you obedient? This was before the election. So I'm not, there is no, and I challenge them, including members of my family, that please don't forget about me. If you know some young members of the young generation, start calling them. Call her. A minimum of 8 of them will tell you that they voted for me. So look, this is what I know. This is what I see. In Port Harcourt, in Rivers State, people won the place hands down. And they even went to the extent they were changing figures with Biro. How is Beavers supposed to read the Biro? They were changing. It is, but of course, look, what is happening now in the off-season elections. If you truly want to contest, if you are genuine, you better stay away. Because the end is predictable. I just wrote about the experience of my friend, Asu, there. That, look, I like the idea of him going to contest because, these are people who want the political system. But I'm not at all surprised at what happened. Right? It's brazen. They will do it, they will tell you then go to court, where their godfathers in the judiciary or their protege, will do their bidding. So this is what we have in this country. This is what look, we are headed to one-party dictatorship. Now, the only thing that has qualified that is if the offended North, choose to fight a battle, maybe on the platform of PDP, it will get a semblance of a two-party contest, or something like that, So, further than that, I cannot see how Nigeria can be precluded from falling into one-party dictatorship. What now they call state capture. Every institution of government is under the control of the people in power. So what else? What is left? And if you love this country, the last thing you want is for people, is for the two-party system to be synonymous more and more with ethno-regional, cleavages, which is the next alternative that will probably have. So, it's going on. And
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. But with all this you are saying, I mean, I want us to talk about Dele Farotimi's case. It does look like the capture is just going all around, and you have spoken very blatantly. And now Dele Farotimi's case has been charged of he's been charged of something that is not known to law in both Ekiti and Lagos. He's still remanded in prison and all that. It looks like there's going to be a pattern. Do you fear for yourself? Considering the fact that you're open and you say the way it is, and with the state capture going on, especially putting Dele Farotimi's case into perspective.
no, I'm not. Dele speaks far more yeah, than I do.
It's more.
But again, and this is where maybe both of us are different. These guys are my personal friends. The president, it will be made difficult for people to believe this. He has, in terms of trying to promote anybody's political interest, he has done that for me for quite a while. You know, I tend to turn it down. You know, there was a time he asked me that I should go and join NCN and become the next governor of the state. He told me that, but I had a good rapport with him. This is my own dilemma. This is where I'm conflicted. That I think somebody I know. I mean, look, from the Nadeko's days, you know, we were fairly close, you know. So even though I talk like this, Nuribadu is like a brother to me. How will Nuribadu be somewhere and then they will go after me? It's almost
you never know.
Nobody,
you never know.
No matter what I say, the only thing they will do is to be angry with me, you know. But I'm conflicted, you know. That is the way to put it. I'm conflicted, you know, on the general scale. You know. First, there's something we call intellectual honesty. That without trying to rubbish anybody, you know, like if you write objectively, right, it will look as if you are attacking them. That is if you are writing objectively. There's no way you write objectively or talk about objectively in Nigeria today that it will not look like you are attacking the president. No, there's absolutely no. All the things that I've told you about, how else do I say it? You know, so this is a problem, you know. I mean, this is a problem, but, you know, what you say, you know, it's enough because it's a dilemma I'm going through. I just told you. I have 90% of my friends are in APC. That is the truth.
So what do you advise on Dele Farotimi's case now? You know, he's been remanded for some extra days. He's been charged for days. The federal government is not involved. Peter went to see Afe Babalola, went to see Dele. It's looking like, you know, a never-ending story. So what do you foresee happening? What advice do you have for Dele? And being an obedient also, what chart from your professional point of view as a political scientist, what do you think should be the way out of the quagmire?
You see, the case has been politicized, right? Talking about it's difficult to legally. It's difficult to. I'm not a lawyer, but it's a tough one. Even though that what they accuse the judiciary, everybody knows. Whether you now have the hard evidence is the question. And as I said, look, even people talk generally about things, and lawyers, you know, arguing from both sides of their mouth and things like that. But, you know, it has been politicized. You know, there's nothing that Dele, of course, has my sympathy. I mean, I brought Dele into politics. I brought him to a spokesperson for Peter Obi. So we are quite close. I mean, but there was a ceremony we were arranging for my uncle about a month ago, in which Chief Abdullah was to be the special guest of honor or something. So he told me, that's delayed that look, unless I can guarantee that nothing will happen to me, he doesn't want to come to that ceremony. That there are three potential, big enemies who can, so, so I know, I mean, I have that with him. On the other hand, is Chief Abdullah. Now it's done extremely well for himself. It's a pity that he should end his life with this kind of position. He was an outstanding professional. It is my uncle, by the way. And the thing that I admire most about him is that he stands out among his contemporaries, in advocating constitutional reforms in Nigeria, with specifically restoration of federalism, relentless. This is a reform that is dear to my heart, and it is crucial, for the stability of Nigeria. So, a man who does that, again, I find it a bit, so again, I'm conflicted. So, the only thing I can offer Dele is to go and see him where he is. He knows that he can take my goodwill for what do you use it? Take it for granted. But Dele is good. I mean, it's but it should be, and Dele is far from being stupid. It should be idiotic of him not to anticipate that this kind of thing can happen to him. Now, it started with Abdullah, and as you have rightly noted, the government is interested. He speaks, he shoots from the hip. And there is nothing that he has not said about Tinubu. Not that he has said anything that is not true. So there is that potential that the government will seize this opportunity to get back at him, by teaming with Abdullah. As I said, Abdullah is my own. I can't go and beg him because Dele doesn't want it and will not like it. So that is there. One or two people I can ask if that will solve the case, if that will make it go away, that I can talk to. I can ask President Obasanjo, to talk to the veil on but I know that it won't work. Chief Abdullah is very, very angry, and rightly so. That somebody who has been at that height, to now be subjected to this sort of thing is not good at all. So I don't know where it is going. I don't know. But with this Nigerian judiciary and the concept of state capture we're talking about, Dele has a very tough time, going forward. But of course, on his side is that he is being canonized unconsciously. So this is the way it is going to happen. The more, people perceive that they are, persecuting him, the more his stature rises. Even as I'm sure that it will take.
The last question would be that recently Peter Obi was a Yola for the American University graduation and all that. There'll be a lot of speculation, Atiku President Obi VP and all that. Yeah, I know that a lot of it are just pedestrian argument because it might be too early and all that. Because they were both presidential aspirants in the past. They worked together in 2019. Now, going forward, do you foresee, as a political scientist yourself, do you foresee a scenario where Atiku and Obi will run together under the same ticket? Is it politically expedient, considering also we have this Leviathan called APC that is trying to monopolize the Nigerian structure?
Well, I doubt it. I doubt it because first, Atiku is not getting younger. At 81, that's really tough. Secondly, is the idea of power rotation. So the South, through via Tinubu, just have spent 4 years and with the entitlement to another 4 years. So, of course, Tinubu can weaponize that kind of argument. So it's not an easy thing to, but politics is fluid. But personally, I don't know how I can support a Muslim, another Muslim, to come back to power, in 2027. That's a tough call for me. So I don't know, but we will also take that into consideration. But never say never. Anything can happen. So it will just make our choice more difficult. If that kind of scenario happens.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll call it a day. Thank you for your time. We have been talking to Akin Osuntokun, political scientist, strategist, researcher, writer, author. Was a former campaign director general of the Obidati campaign. He's been special advisor to President Obasanjo, and he's there. He's a well-known person from Ekiti State. That's why I asked him the Dele Farotimi question, because everybody's going to Ekiti now that possibly if we can use this connection for Dele, and they said, well, he will play his part, but he knows that Dele too is rigid. And but the key thing there is that Nigeria is still a country of law. Whether the laws are abided by is a completely different argument. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. I know you run a very busy schedule. It's late where you are. Thank you for coming to Atlanta to discuss. We will not hesitate to call you again as issues emerge on the Nigerian state. And Ghana has done all proud, and done Africa proud. The transition in Ghana has been so smooth. And Rollins, like being a former military head of state, has done well for Ghana, led by example. Something we're praying should happen here. And our own military people, well, they tried their best, but the legacy seems to be haunting us. And those that fought in the pro-democracy movement back in the Nadeko days that are ruling us today are actually, doing the same thing they criticized the military of doing back then. And the APC, of course, we know that used demonstration and riots to come into power, are now arresting people for doing the same thing. So, well, Vox Populi, Vox Day, they say. So it's a wrap there. See you next time. All. Thank you to all our viewers and subscribers. Thank you, Dr. Osuntokun. Thank you for your time. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Yes, sir.